Hello, I'm Jim Morningstar, Director of Transformations and your guide through this 8-session advanced practicum and apprenticeship in community building. The focus of this 6th class is identifying and handling unconscious communication patterns that naturally arise in a growing community. The risky communication rascals are means of communication we humans often use to try to balance ourselves in relation to another's emotional discomfort. These messages are risky because they may look like attempts to help another person deal with some uncomfortable issues, whether they ask for our advice or not. But they communicate a message that may be disempowering to the receiver. In effect, they're ways to try to remove another person's pain because we are uncomfortable being around it. Now, I will role play each of these messages so you can imagine how you would feel if someone gave these messages to you. Some of these communications may feel very familiar to you because they were frequently used in your environment. They can be subtly disempowering to those receiving them and ultimately unbalancing to those giving them, despite having a, quotes, positive intention of trying to be helpful. At the end of this role play, I will demonstrate a healthy, empowering alternative that you may begin using immediately until it's second nature to you. The first category of risky rascals are solution messages. That is, giving others ways to change themselves that they did not ask for because the way they are makes you uncomfortable. The hidden message when doing this is, you are not okay and you can't do it for yourself. The first category of these solution messages are orders, directions, and commands. Orders. Don't show up for class without your homework. Directions. Schedule time every evening just to do one assignment. Commands. I want you to take responsibility for being more disciplined. The second category, warning, threatening, or promising. Warning. If you don't change, you're going to get a bad grade. Threatening. This is the last time I'm going to tell you before you are expelled. Promising. If you just try a little harder, I'm sure you will do well. Now, this is a tricky one because it may sound supportive, but can be quite condescending. Third category, moralizing, preaching, shoulds, and oughts. Moralizing. You know what is the right way to live and be respectful of your teachers, and it's time you start practicing this way of being in this class. Preaching. People who develop good habits in a class like this are much better human beings. Shoulds. You should take pride in doing your best here. Oughts. You ought to be grateful for getting such excellent material in this class. The fourth category, advising, giving solutions and suggesting. Advising. Why don't you find another classmate who gets it and follow their example? Giving solutions. Take the test I give you for attention deficit disorder and read my book on how to deal with it. Suggestions. If you eat more leafy greens, it could help you pay attention better. The fifth category, teaching, lecturing, giving logical arguments. Teaching. Being a good student requires a desire to learn, developing effective study habits, and applying lessons to your everyday life. Lecturing. I used to be sloppy in my study skills, like most of you, till I recognized that my life and success were up to me. Giving logical arguments. There's no reason that every one of you cannot upgrade your efforts here because you're intelligent, courageous enough to sign up for this course and are being given time-tested tools for self-improvement. Now, there, don't you feel better that I've communicated these helpful tips to you? Well, of course not. Now, I was exaggerating the not-so-hidden messages in my role-playing, but even though you knew I was role-playing, this kind of messaging could have hit some emotional buttons for you because of our shared emotional history of having been subject to them and how we're wired to pick up the feeling content more than the intellectual. So keep breathing and let yourself release any emotional charge, especially as I demonstrate the next category of risky rascals, which are put-downs. The underlying implication in these messages are, you are sick. Judging, criticizing, and disagreeing. Judging. You are simply just not a fast learner. Criticizing. You don't seem to have a clue about how to grow from your mistakes. Disagreeing. I don't agree with your way of approaching the importance of this material. Praising and agreeing. Praising. You have the potential and positive instincts to be the best student in this class. Agreeing. You're right to want to learn and apply this material to your life. These two are tricky to catch, the subtle manipulation behind them. I had a client once whose mother continually used praise and positive thinking to manipulate him such that I could see his body tense up any time I gave him positive affirmation. I learned from him how to honestly care for him and give value by being straight and direct with no floweriness or embellishment. A great lesson for me. Next category of put-downs, name-calling, stereotyping, or labeling. Name-calling. You're being a baby when you keep whining about your past hurts. Stereotyping. You spiritual seeker types have a lot to learn about real life. Labeling. You surely are a lost soul. The key to release of reactions to these put-down messages is to see them in the context of the person delivering them, projecting their pain and defensiveness on others, perhaps repeating put-downs delivered to them in an attempt to rise above their hurt while delivering it to others. We have all had exposure to this kind of attacking energy and may have also had circumstances where we've delivered it. The most common place where we do this is in family or community in which we've become familiar enough to express our discomfort in ways we felt most hurt at some time in our life ourselves. Hence the presence of domestic violence. The expression, "you always hurt the ones you love," ironically refers to feeling safe enough with someone to let down our guard and let our unconscious fear and hostility come out. Love and understanding will ultimately prevail in humanity if we continue to elevate our consciousness. Becoming aware of remnants of these risky rascals in our own consciousness, if not also in our speech, may be painful at first, but can avert so much greater pain if acted out in community. Catching this and helping redirect it has been a risky yet rewarding challenge for me in community building leadership. It always starts, of course, with our inner family. I caught myself, for example, on the racquetball court, judging myself for what I thought was poor playing and talking negatively to myself about it, like I would never talk to anyone else or let anyone else talk to me. Why then, I asked myself, would I allow myself to talk to me this way? A rude awakening to voices in my psychic basement, which I addressed, and it took a lot of unconscious pressure off myself to perform according to rigid standards, not only on the racquetball court, but in other areas of my life. I actually thought I became a better player in doing so, and more congruent in my life. Once again, let's keep breathing through more risky rascals. The next category of put-down messages is interpreting, analyzing, and diagnosing. Interpreting. Your blank stare at the screen right now belies the lack of presence in your body. Analyzing. Your resistive response to constructive criticism suggests a lack of true guidance in your childhood. Diagnosing. I see a lot of ungrounded psychic sensitives in this class. The next category, reassuring, sympathizing, consoling, and supporting. Reassuring. I'm sure that as we go further on in our work together, all of what I'm saying will get much clearer to you. Sympathizing. I know it's hard with your busy life to devote time to extracurricular work like this course. Consoling. The rewards for the time you put into this work will surely return to you tenfold. Supporting. Let me know how I can help you get more value from the hard efforts you're trying to put into improving yourself. The next category, probing, interrogating, questioning. Probing. Are you getting the proper rest and a good diet while we're learning to be community builders? Interrogating. Did you think this work was going to be easy? What were your real motives for signing up? Questioning. With the minimal amount of work you're putting in, what's your sense of the differences this is going to make in your life? The final category of risky rascals is avoiding. The hidden message here is it's too risky to deal with you. So when I sense discomfort or pain in another, I can engage in withdrawing. I close down around them, or perhaps put on a veneer of social politeness. Oh, so glad to be doing this course with you. Distracting. I make sure to divert my conversations to other topics than feelings within or between us. For example, sports or politics. Hey, how about them Green Bay Packers? Sarcasm. I dismiss feelings with a flip remark. For example, well, that's life for you. Or, just when you think it can't get worse, it does. Humoring. For example, if you keep a bright attitude, it's going to get better. Or, your lucky number has to come up soon. Averting interaction. Would love to catch up with you, but my boss has put a deadline for work on me. Let's do lunch sometime. So, options to responding to another's communicated discomfort that are positive could be simply silence. Simply engaged presence without giving advice or commentary. Being with the person. Non-committal acknowledgement. Sounds like it's been a challenging time for you. Or door openers, I statements, awareness of self or others. I would feel conflicted in that circumstance. Or, you seem sad over your loss. Feedback, reflecting, or mirroring. So feedback. It sounds like you've really tried to do your best. Reflecting. I hear you say that this has been bothering you for some time. Mirroring. Just mirroring a compassionate, concerned expression. So take handout 1, dealing with the risky communication rascals. And in section 1, the risky rascals, mark for yourself with a 0 the messages that give you the most emotional charge when you receive them. Then mark with an X the messages you are most likely to deliver to others. See how well you're able to make these observations as simply ways your mind and body has been programmed in the past, and what would help you release the programming that no longer serves you. Make these observations in Section 2, Releasing Risky Rascals. A. What I'm willing to do to release my emotional charge on risky rascals delivered to me is, and B. What I'm willing to do to release any habit I've had in delivering risky rascals to others is. Complete handout 1 and come back to the video. Inner peace and integration is the solid ground for all other harmony and success. I send and receive blessings for our circle and all sentient beings till next class. Blessings in light and love.